Welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be covering how to make a friend with a prospect. It's the first step that you need to take in making a sale. Now, before I kick off and get started, quick show of hands, how many people here make money, make revenue, generate business by selling something? Quick show of hands. Okay. Now I'm curious, how many people have a product or service right now that's relatively new to them, that they either just started selling or plan to sell in the future? Quick show of hands. Okay, what's wonderful about this course that you're going to learn today, you are going to learn the sales process. I am product agnostic. You can walk out of this class today and you can sell phone services, IT services, managed services, cloud services. You can even take this training to influence anybody in your personal life because it works universally. Okay? Now, I was in the booth earlier today, and anybody who stopped by probably was asked this question: what's been your biggest challenge growing sales? Because I'm curious, I'm giving this class and I better know what the challenges are. One of the challenges I heard was lack of a process. Another challenge that I heard was lack of time. Okay, how many people could relate to both of those things? Okay, let me explain to you. As a business owner, okay, and I assume all of you are either business owners or working to generate revenues if you're in this class, let me tell you, there's 100 things that you need to do as a business owner. There are three which put money in your pocket. If you don't know them, write them down. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the more time you spend doing these three things, the more your revenues are going to grow. Those three things are prospecting, meeting with clients, and closing sales. You can be the best technician in the world, but if you don't have prospects, and if you don't meet with them, and you don't close sales, what's going to happen to your business? You're done. You're bankrupt. Now, you can prospect and get a lot of prospects. You can meet with them. But at the end of the day, if you're going to get paid, what do you have to do? You got to close a business. This class is going to put you on the jet to close a business. I'm telling you, you are going to learn things today which are going to apply universally. Now, have all of you heard of the Pocket MBA before? Okay, if you haven't, it's a program that we're going to be offering in the future. The sales training that you're getting today is a part of that program. Okay? Now, before we get started, I have a workbook that's going to be available to everybody attending this training. Okay? Whether you're seeing it now or whether you're seeing it in the future on a video, let me give you this information so you can get the workbook. Okay? Everybody, please turn on your cell phone. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to follow those instructions. Then turn off your cell phone. When you get back, the workbook for this class will be sitting in your email box. How's that? Okay, we got 2 minutes. If you're just arriving, this is how you get your workbook. Send a text to that address. Just follow those instructions. Text the keyword Sales 101, your name and your email to 58885. And like magic, it'll be in your inbox. And please remember to turn off your cell phone when you're done. Okay, if you're just arriving to get your workbook, you might want to write that down because we're going to move along. Okay, first a few facts. I asked earlier in the class how many people are going to be selling potentially something different in the future than they're selling today. What you're going to learn will apply to anything regardless of what you want to sell. How many people right now are going to be selling something in the cloud, something cloud related? Quick show of hands. Okay, potentially, and if now, maybe sometime in the future. Okay, IT architecture is shifting from server-centric to service-centric. And whether you're selling servers or whether you're selling services, you're still going to need a process in order to sell. Now, how many people remember 1990 when not everybody had a cell phone? Can you go back that far? Well, let me tell you, I decided that this was a coming trend, and so I decided to sell them. And you know what? I never really had to sell anything because everybody wanted one. You're the cell phone guy, and it was done. How long do you think it took before everyone had a cell phone? Okay, about 2 years. And after that, you couldn't do that anymore because they all had 2-year contracts and they were locked in. Okay? Now, here's an interesting fact. Have you thought about this? Getting out of the cloud is going to be a lot harder than getting into the cloud. Now, the reason I point this out to you is when do you think the opportunity to sell cloud services is? Do you understand? You better take this training home with you and you better start applying it immediately. Because just like those cell phones, you could sell them all day long in 1990, but about 92, 93, everybody had one and were locked in. If you weren't the person that sold them their cloud services and they bought it from someone else, good luck. Okay? Sell it now. Be the first one with your foot in the door. Because can you imagine what it's going to be like backing that data out of the cloud and moving it to another data center? The easiest time to sell this is now. Now, who is your market? 9 out of 10 businesses are prospects for your company. That's based on a study done by the government, the U.S. Census. They say that of the 5.8 million employer firms in the U.S., 5.7 employ less than 100 people. Is that your market? That's your market. So this class is going to show you how to make friends with a prospect and make them eager to hear more about your services. Now, how many of you have ever walked into a store eagerly awaiting to buy something and the person just turned you off so quickly and so adamantly that you just turned around and walked out? Has that ever happened? So I'm going to share with you, you may not decide to buy something in the first 2 minutes, but you can definitely decide not to buy something in the first 2 minutes. If you do a great job making a friend with somebody, how easy do you think it is to close? It's very, very, very easy. Now, in sales, a lot of times we think we have a mission, we've got to get business. So we walk into the situation, and what do we want to talk about? Whatever it is we have to sell. You may not even realize that you're doing this, but I'm going to tell you that's how to talk yourself out of a sale. If you learn how to make a friend with somebody, which you're going to learn in this class, by the end of this, you're going to have skills, techniques to instantly bond with somebody, and you use them, you could spend, in a 1-hour meeting, 45 minutes bonding and making a friend, and then when you go to close, it's like that. Because you're buddies. It's very easy. Without this skill, it's like taking them to the mat, and then you got to battle, and you got to overcome all these objections. So of all the skills in sales, and I teach 5 skills, this is the most important one. Now, I thought when I put this class together that this would be the easiest thing to teach because we all kind of do this naturally. But what I found is that we all have habits from doing this before. So this is going to be something new. And I'm going to teach it to you today, and it's going to feel kind of, maybe a little interesting, a little different from what you've been doing before, but it just takes a little bit of practice to really get it down under your belt. So, I'm going to show you how to make selling easy, how to make a friend, how to conduct a quick profile. And by the way, if those of you who haven't been in one of my classes before here at SMB Nation, my name's Todd Kolbeck. I'm the president of Kolbeck Coaching Group. I'm based in South Beach, Miami. And I've given sales training to different types of companies, all different types of industries.
What system, Todd?
What system? Oh, the style I studied was Chinese Kung Fu, and specifically a style called Shui Jiao, which is like a Chinese form of Jiu-Jitsu. It's your old system?
Yeah, my old teacher was in South Florida as well.
Interesting, yeah, yeah. So I competed, U.S. champion, 1993.
You know who Daniel Wong is?
I know Daniel Wong. I mean, I haven't met him, but my teacher knows him.
Yeah.
It's a guy named David Lynn in New York City.
David Lynn, yeah. I know who David Lynn is.
Yeah, it's a small world. Okay, there you go. See, we just bonded and made a friend. Exactly what I'm teaching, right? Thank you. And that wasn't a setup. Thank you. All right. So now, here are the 5 steps to making a sale. Oh, let me back that up one. Okay, 5 steps to learn how to be a master salesperson. This is it. Making a friend, conducting a profile, presenting your services, offering a choice, getting a commitment. And today we're learning making a friend. Now, there are 4 steps to learning a new skill. Okay, the first step is unconscious incompetence. I didn't even know I wasn't aware of it, something. How many of you ever heard the term empowering questions before? Show of hands. That's an example. Okay, a couple of you, but if you never heard of it, that's unconscious incompetence. You couldn't ask an empowering question if you didn't know what it was. The second thing is conscious incompetence. Conscious incompetence means you go through a class and you learn something, but you really haven't done it, but you're at least aware of it. Now, the third stage of learning is conscious competence, which you're going to do today. How do you achieve conscious competence? You practice. I learned how to do something. Here's the steps. Here, I'm going to try practicing it. And eventually, you get to the point where this is going to become automatic. You don't even think about it anymore. That's unconscious incompetence. Now, I'm going to share with you, to learn sales, could I teach anyone to ride a bike by standing up here and telling you about riding a bike? You can't learn sales that way either, which means in this class, what are you going to need to do? Practice. So this is not just me talking to you. You're going to be engaged. You're going to be working. You're going to be implementing these things, okay? We all good with that? Okay, you're going to have to talk to people. Okay, all right. Now, in order to become a scholar, you just don't sit in a weekend workshop. You learn something, you master it, and you do it all the time. How many of you are athletes? Okay, in order to learn a sport, you got to learn it, you learn the technique, and you practice it over and over and over till you don't even have to think about it. Musicians, how many of you are musicians? Okay, in music, you learn how to do the technique, you practice it, pretty soon you don't even think about it. That is exactly what sales training is like. Now, quick question, what % of your training has been on technology versus what % has been on learning how to sell? Would you say there's an imbalance there? Okay, at the end of the day, can you have any technology if you couldn't sell it in the first place? It ain't going to happen, right? So, you know, someone was talking to me today, you know, Todd? He goes, I really want to learn how to sell managed services. I said, really? I said, I actually know somebody that went out and paid hefty fees to learn a particular managed service product and, you know, become involved. But you know what he found out when he was done? He couldn't what?
Sell it.
He couldn't sell it. My opinion is sell it. Once you sell it, what are you going to have to do? Guaranteed, you're going to have to go learn it. I think if you can learn how to sell it, there's always going to be some way for you to get the training and how to learn it. But if you learn it and you can't sell it, what have you done? Okay, not fun, not a lot of fun. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about are the very specific techniques. Anyone heard that word before, BFF? Best friends forever? Okay, you're going to learn how to bond by sharing and caring, how to find out about someone by asking them empowering questions, there's that term, and how to feel good by matching and mirroring. Let's talk about bonding by sharing and caring. Okay, smiling and make eye contact. Let's talk about this for a moment. How many of you sell primarily one-on-one? Quick show of hands. Okay, how many of you ever have to sell to more than one people at a time? One person at a time. Okay, let me tell you right now, the secret to selling to more than one person at a time, you're engaged with somebody, you're getting a sale, somebody walks up, smile and make eye contact, at least just for a moment, to get focused back in on who you're selling to. And by the way, this is something you should just be doing consciously when you meet someone for the first time. Now, the next thing, now, if I'm in a room, okay, how many people here met someone new today? Right? Great place to meet someone new. You know, we're going to be having dinner tonight. Maybe you had lunch today. You're sitting at the table, and somebody says, okay, everyone go around the table and introduce yourself. And the first person says, well, my name's Todd Kolbeck, and I went to college at the University of Nebraska. What does the next person say? Their name and where they went to school, and it goes on and on all around the table. Have you ever noticed that? Okay? Well, I'm going to tell you a secret. When you have a prospect, instead of pummeling them right away with a lot of questions, instead, when you introduce yourself, tell them the things about yourself that you want to know about them. And you know what happens? They just start telling you those things about themselves without you even having to ask. Every time I teach this to someone, they go out and they use it, they come back and they're astounded. Todd, it worked, just like you said. And this is the kind of thing that you can do all the time. So again, you're going to introduce yourself by telling them things about you that you want to know about them. And now finally, this last thing, you look at that little bullet, seems kind of obvious. Listen closely to what they share about themselves. I'm going to add to that. If you have a pen, take notes. Okay? Because sometimes you speak to a lot of prospects, you may forget the next time you meet them. So, you walk into a store, and the salesperson comes up to you, and what do they say? Can I help you? And what do you say? End of the transaction, okay? Let's talk about this statement. A salesperson walks up to you and says, what's the best thing happening with you today? What's the first thing you think of? Something good or something bad? Something good. How does that make you feel? Good. And who are you looking at? The salesperson. Suddenly you realize when you look at the salesperson, you're feeling good. You don't even know why. So the first step in making a friend, make a note. Change, how are you today? Change, how can I help you too? Now, I'm giving you one example of a question. You can change this instead of what's the best thing happening with you today? What's the best thing going on? There's other versions which I'll show you in a moment, but do you see the difference between this and how can I help you? Okay. It's going to elicit an emotional response. Now, everybody, the next thing, remember how I said you want to tell them something about yourself that you want to know about them? Here's a generic statement. Hi, my name's Todd Kolbeck. I got into business 5 years ago when I wanted to become independent and stop working for a boss. Now I own my own company in Miami, Florida, helping other business owners grow their business. What's your name? And you know, when you have an introduction like that, they come back with more than just their name. They tell you about how they got into the business, the kind of things that are motivating them. And again, you're hearing this probably for the first time, but when you go out and try it, you're actually going to see what I mean. Now, remember I talked about empowering questions? Do you remember that term? A normal question, you ask a question because you want to know an answer. An empowering question is asked because you want to elicit an emotional response in somebody. And the response is going to make them feel good. Okay? And when you make someone feel good, it's a great way to start off this initial process of becoming a friend. Remember that first question I gave you, what's the best thing going on with you lately? These are just examples of those types of questions. Now, the third part of this equation, if I'm talking to somebody in a pretty big state like this, and they're a little more introverted. Pardon me? These notes are in the workbook. The notes are in the workbook. That's going to be helpful. It's a lot of information, so I'm sending you the workbook. Now, if I come at somebody the way I'm talking right now, and they're kind of laid back, and they're really telling me, you know, I think I need to do something about my business, am I going to connect very well with them? I'm going to blow them right out of the water. So one of the things you got to be careful of when you're talking with people is you need to be aware, are they extroverted? Are they introverted? Are they talking loud? Are they talking soft? And you want to match them right at that level. You need to match it for their pace of speech. If they're a fast talker or a slow talker, you need to mirror their body language as well. Now, once you start doing this, you can actually pace them and start to lead them. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to do a little exercise. Everyone get your pen and paper out. I'm going to go back. Okay, do you see that statement right there? Get your pen and paper out. I want you to write in your own introduction. Hi, my name's so-and-so. I got into business X number of years ago because I wanted to get blank, and now I do blank. Who uses paper? Pardon me? Type it in your iPhone? That's a good question. Well, you know what then? Then how about this? We don't even need the paper. We're just going to practice. Fair enough? Forget the paper. Okay, now, the people in the first row doing about face, people in the third row doing about face, people in the fifth row doing about face. Partner up with a person sitting behind you or in front of you. Just find a partner. Yeah, you guys can partner up together. You know what I'm saying? Just, you guys are sitting at the same table. Okay, you got it? All right, your exercise, listen carefully. Listen carefully. You're going to start, what's the best thing going on with you today? And then introduce yourself like this, and then ask them, what's your name? Okay, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, then we're going to switch. Everyone go right ahead, I'll walk around. Busy. I'm done. Yeah, I'm just teaching the class. Want to practice? Okay, ready? Okay. Hi, my name's Todd. I work as a business coach. I've been doing it now for about 3 years. And I like to help people that are running their businesses grow faster and easier. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Matthew Atkins. I'm a computer guy. I got into this about 10 years ago because I wanted to get all my friends employed. And now I help other businesses make money.
Fantastic. Okay, now we'll flip it. You go first. So you do the same thing. Just introduce yourself, and I like, so I walked into your place of business. Go ahead. Hey, my name's Todd Kolbeck. I help other people make money too. Okay. Don't forget the part about the computer though, right? Okay. Okay, everyone take a break. Take a break. Okay, quick show of hands. Would anyone like to share their experience? Anyone like to share their experience? Okay, go ahead. Okay, I heard it was pleasant. Okay, anybody else?
Talked about the ASCII party and a dado pen exploded over here.
Yeah.
We talked about the ASCII party and something exploded over here?
The dado pens exploded. They don't last very long. Yeah.
Okay, well that's interesting. All right. Anyone else? Yes. Which part?
I got into business.
Oh, sure.
And why you would want to go to business if you got a good hook.
Oh, isn't it interesting? Thank you very much. So he said when you actually share why you get into business, it's a hook. It opens the door for them to share the same thing about them. It's great. And remember, what's this about? Bonding. And you know what? Think about this. What do you think your competition is going in there doing? They're going in there selling, right? They leave this step out. You've got a monstrous advantage. How many of you have to bid for projects and you know they're seeing other people? Right. If you've got the friendship, you already got a big lead on your competitors. Okay? Now, let's talk about the next step. So you've bonded. You have to get some basic information before you start presenting whatever you're going to present on. Okay? Now, this is a very basic profile. Quick question, do people make decisions based on, buying decisions based on logic or emotion? Emotion is 100% right. Now, I hate to ask this question, but I have to. Is technology logical or emotional? Emotional when it breaks, right? Ah! Okay, so all I'm saying is if you do training on technology, a lot of people try to present logically about why they need something. How many of you are engineers or have an engineering background? Okay, so this is the thing. I work with a lot of people for the technical background, and they explain to the customer technically why they need something, and the customer doesn't agree because they're trying to decide logically, and you got to hit people emotionally. Let me share with you how to do that. Okay, number one, you need to find out what's important to them. Number two, you need to learn what challenges they have. And then finally, you need to empathize with how they feel So that acronym, break the ice, right? Break the ice. Find out what's important, learn their challenges, and empathize. Now, here's an example. This question, there is a monstrous difference between how can I help you with technology to what's the most important thing you'd like to talk about or learn while I'm here today? And here's another example of that question. What's most important to you about using technology to grow your business? You cut to the chase with this question. They open their heart right up, and they're telling you, this is why I'm here. Now, don't you think knowing this, it's going to be a lot easier to springboard to the next conversation? This is a phenomenal question. So write that down, make a note. And by the way, if you're going to get this in your notes, so don't worry if you're not writing, okay? Who uses the pen? Good question. Okay, no one uses the pen anymore. All right. Now, the next thing, when they tell you what's important to them, write this down or make a note, spoon it back. So can I show you? Tell me what's most important to you about technology.
The uptime. We don't like any downtime.
Okay, so if I got that right, it's the uptime. You really don't like downtime, right? Now, when I spoon that back to him, how does he feel? He feels I'm pretty smart. Wow, this guy listened to me. That's exactly what I want. Now, what if I said, so what's important to you is having more downtime. Is that right? I'm wrong. Better he corrects me right now. That's an obvious example, but I'll tell you, that initial connection right there, suddenly you're syncing, you're tracking. He's like, yes, that's right. That's what I need. Now, the next question, and I'll tell you, as a salesperson, I have made literally people millions of dollars with this next question. I used to work at American Express. I was the top person in the whole company, 150-year-old company. I was 500% of my sales goal because my competitors, the other salespeople, didn't know this question. What would you say has been your biggest challenge regarding that issue? Now, when you ask someone that question, what are they focused on? Their problems. Are they going to give you any money because they feel like it? Why are they giving you money? To do what? To get rid of problems. Now, is it painful to part with my money? Oh, you bet it is. That money's sitting in my pocket. It's painful to part with it. I have to make the pain of their problem greater than the pain of parting with that money. Do you get it? I'm telling you, you can ride this one to the bank. To the bank. What has been your biggest challenge regarding that issue? So, can I ask you, what's been your, now, if I'm right, having downtime has been your biggest challenge. What's been your biggest challenge around that issue?
Having a vendor is able to keep the systems up and running.
So the biggest challenge is having a vendor in that can really keep it up and running. Did I just open the door for my opportunity? You want to hear I'm going to really get this guy crazy? What would be the impact for your business if that continues or gets worse?
Significant.
And now I can go on about how much money he's losing, and now he's in tears. How much easier is it going to be to come in for my solution? You got it? This will put money in your pocket every day. We're going to practice in a minute, don't worry. Now, next one. After he tells me his biggest challenge, I can't just blow it off like I didn't hear him. I got to sit there and say, you know, I know exactly how you feel. One of my clients felt the same way. His vendor had him down probably 10% of the time a month, and he was losing tons of money. I know exactly how you feel. What I found is that when we plugged my solution in there, that problem went completely away. Would you like to hear more about it? Sure. Isn't that a great way to start a presentation? Yes. Okay. Now, 3 things to ICE. What's important to you? What's your biggest challenge around that? And then feel, felt, found. Guess what we're going to do next? We're going to practice. That's right. I'll put those questions up so you can see them again. All right? So don't get it perfect. Don't worry about it. We're learning. You're going to get this in your notes. But let's turn around, partner up with the same person before. What's most important to you about technology in your business? What's been your problem around that? I know exactly how you feel. Many of my clients felt the same way. What I found was blank. Ready? Go.
it going?
What do you think? I don't know. What's your impression?
They seem to be.
Think I will come up?
This is sales.
Yeah.
Questions that I talk to. I always talk to them. No matter what it sells, it doesn't matter what you say.
It's universal.
Yeah.
Universal.
You gotta customer.
Well, I can tell you this. I look around the class and they're smiling and they're moving and they're talking, so that's a good sign.
It's so the most important thing is to find out what everything different.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the most important thing again is that they enroll for our class on Monday. Make sure you switch. Make sure you switch it up so you get to practice as a salesperson and as a customer. Switch it up. Okay. Okay, ready? Let's take a time out for a step. Okay, take a time out for a sec. Quick, let me have your attention. How many people are feeling more confident about bonding now than they did half an hour ago? Okay, how many of you typically sell to somebody seated down? How many of you typically sell standing up? Guess what we're going to do? All right, now next thing what I'd like to do, I'd like the people on this side of the room to please stand up. Okay, all right, great. And now, let me see. I'd like you to just walk out there and find a new partner. Go right ahead. Okay, now, the people in my back corner here, stand up, walk in there, get a new partner. And if you don't know how to introduce yourself by now, I can't help you. All right, now, you're going to use that exact technique I just taught you to introduce yourself. The same one I just taught you. Let's see how it works. Remember? We just learned. I'll demonstrate. Remember? Hi. Actually, they sound fine. They're already doing it. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll be walking around if you have questions.
Learning new stuff about sales.
Okay, all right, everybody, time out. Time out, take a break. Take a break. I want you to get another partner, introduce yourself again. Same thing. Another partner, introduce yourself again. New partner. Change it up, change it up. Introduce yourself. Same technique, introduce yourself. Here you go.
Hi. Oh, how are you?
Good. Good.
I'm alone. So, I'm Bruce, and actually, yeah, I started my business about 18 years ago because I felt that the big companies just couldn't do technology customer support the way you can when you're smaller. That's kind of what got me into it. Mm-hmm. What's your name?
Hi, my name's Todd. I've been in business now for about 7 years. I left American Express to start doing business coaching and consulting because I just found all the things that I'd kind of been just assuming people took for granted, they really didn't know how to do, so I thought I would share. Great. Okay. All right, now let's try the other one where you're going to do the quick profile.
Okay.
And so I'll go first just to kind of refresh it. So tell me, what's most important to you about technology in your business?
Well, the biggest thing that concerns me is, we've had data loss in the past, and so it's sort of just I'm never comfortable that the backup is going to be, up to date. We find that when something like that happens, it's months old, and so that's been a concern.
So what's most important is that your backups may not be up to date and they could be months old?
Yeah, just, so no matter what happens, I guess if we have a live copy or a current one, I feel a little more secure about that.
What's been your biggest challenge around that?
Tapes fail, people forget to rotate them, or we tried the internet, but it was so slow.
I know exactly how you feel. One of my clients' tapes failed, and they lost their accounting data, and they had to do their taxes all over again. It was a mess. What we were able to do is put in our solution, and now they never have problems with tapes anymore. All right, you got it. Okay, everybody, take a time out. Have a seat. Okay, time out. Have a seat. Okay, have a seat. Have a seat. Did you notice how much energy you got during that exercise? What a difference from the beginning of the class. If anyone just walked in this room right now, they think it was like a big party or something going on. Okay? Now, let me ask you this question. As a customer, when you got to play the role of the prospect and you were hearing someone introduce themselves like this, how did it feel coming at you? Did you notice? Right? And then how easy was it for you to come back and respond? Now, I'm going to teach you a secret. This works on anybody. Okay? So if you're single, check it out. Okay? And if you're married, I got to tell you, sometimes it's important to influence your spouse as well. Have you ever walked into a room and you just know maybe one of your family members was just in a bad mood for something? You can't tell them, don't be in a bad mood. But if you just stop for a moment and you think to yourself and you ask, hey, tell me, what's your favorite restaurant? Well, what? What do you like best about that place? And the next thing you know, they're off on a journey. When you come home, let me ask, what's the best thing you did while I was gone, for this trip? I'm going to tell you, I play games with this, and I find it absolutely delightful. How many of you ever get in taxis, right? Taxi drivers sometimes can be a little crazy. Well, I always like to ask this question just for fun, and I don't care what mood the guy's in, even if he can't speak English, okay? I'll say, tell me, what's the best fare that you ever had? And immediately the guy is delighted and he starts just going on and on. I'll walk in to check out at the supermarket, and if there's not a long line behind me, I'll say, tell me, what's the best thing that happened to you today? Every time I get a smile. It has never failed me. These things work on anybody. Now, after you bond with someone like this, you could go on and on with these empowering questions. Once they're open, what did you like best about that? That sounds fantastic. What else did you like about that? What else did you do? And suddenly, guess what's happening? It's like they're a balloon, and you're just lifting them and lifting them and lifting them. And now when they're in that state, what are you going to do? That's when you're going to start finding out about their business. Totally different format. Now, let's talk about this next step. okay, which is, remember the quick profile I taught you? Okay, what's most important to you, and we'll use this one for today about using technology in their business. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you know the answer to that question, how easy is it going to be for you to have something to recommend? Okay, but let me tell you the problem that people make themselves. I often find when I teach this, that once somebody answers that question, the next thing you want to do is start selling. This is about bonding. This is about bonding. If you start selling right away, they're going to be like this, you know? And then you may have lost that person forever. Instead, we're going to empathize. I know exactly how you feel. Many of my clients felt the same way. What I found is blank. Now, we're going to do this again, but I just got to give you a couple of tips here. Have you ever asked someone to buy and they said no? I know it sounds hard to believe, but has that ever happened to you? I know. Well, a lot of times if they say no, and if you just turn around and go ahead, well, you know, I really think you should say yes, then it doesn't really work. What I like to do when they say no, did you ask this question? You did in the profile. What's been your biggest challenge? And when they say no, okay, so tell me, would you like to buy my solution today? Say no.
No.
But you did say that downtime has really been an issue, right?
Yeah.
Really? Well, tell me, how much do you think it's, I mean, when your system goes down, how much does it cost you?
Couple thousand.
What's that experience like for your clients?
Probably not.
So it could cost you referrals too, right? All right. Well, let me ask you a question. If this continues, what do you think it could cost you? Or what if it gets worse?
It costs.
And I'm going to pound them until I visibly see him start to turn red. And when he visibly starts to turn red, then I'm going to say, well, you know, this might be one of the reasons you might want to consider this other thing. Because just for this low amount of money, you're not going to have to deal with this anymore. No more pain in the butt vendors. I'm going to tell you the amount of business that I've turned from no's to yeses using this technique is amazing. And the more that they're adamant about no, 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 the happier I feel when they say yes, yes, yes. Now, let me ask you this question. Is finding out what is bothering him unethical? Is helping him solve his problems unethical? Is this high pressure? I make him feel uncomfortable, but let me ask you this question. Suppose I did this and said, well, you know, I'm sorry I can't help you, and tomorrow his whole shebang goes down. Did I really do him any favors? I don't think so, right? So I'm going to tell you right now, you can help this person if you know what's wrong, but sometimes you need to help them decide. So we're going to do this exercise again with the profile. And just remember what's most important to you about using technology to run your business. What's been your biggest challenge with that? I know exactly how you feel. Many of my clients have felt the same way. What I found, and you know, if you can actually share a story of somebody who actually had this problem, what I found is someone that had this issue, I was able to help by doing A, B, and C. Would you like to hear more about what we do? You got it? We're going to practice, okay? And I'm going to tell you, what that challenge is, you really got to remember that. It's got to stick to you. Because if you can't solve this challenge, are they going to part with their money? Isn't going to happen. If you can solve this challenge, okay, then at least you have a shot. So what I'd like you to do, let's stand up. Let's find, you know, another part. It could be someone you already worked with. I know you've been mixing it up. But let's just do the profile again. What's most important to you about using technology in your business? What's your biggest challenge? And then feel, felt, found. Whenever you're ready, go right ahead. 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. One more minute. 1 more minute. Okay, everybody, have a seat. Have a seat. Have a seat. So, the prospect has shared what's important to them about using technology to grow their business, their challenges around this issue, and they've told you that they want to hear what you have to offer. Now, you're ready to present your services. How many of you have ever presented your services before doing this? How did it go? Not so great. What do you think it's going to go like now? It's going to go a lot better. Okay, so what we learned how to sell using the 5 easy steps, and today you learned the first step, which is making a friend. We learned how to conduct that 3 quick question profile. The most important thing about an initial consultation in a prospect meeting is bonding, not closing. The most important thing. Now, you remember I talked about those 4 steps to competence? Before you walked in this class today, a lot of you just didn't even know these techniques. That was unconscious competence. Then you got to see me stand up here and talk about them. So you reached the 2nd level, which is conscious competence. At least you know what was going on. Now you had a chance to practice them. Okay? Practicing them will give you conscious competence, but to really get them so you don't have to remember and think anymore, you need unconscious competence, which is practicing over and over again. For those of you that enjoyed this and would like to take it further, I'd like to invite you all of you to join our Pocket MBA program. Now, my MBA, I'm proud to say, I loved it. It was $60,000, 2 years of my life. And did you know that 80% of that value of the MBA was only in 20% of the content? Are any of you surprised by that? No. That's the truth. So guess what the Pocket MBA is? We took that 20% content, and you've got phenomenal faculty, and we give it to you in just 12 weeks. It doesn't matter where you are, anywhere in the world. This is virtual learning. You can, if you got a busy schedule, someone said, I work 80 hours a week. I said, you could take this in your downtime because we're going to send you these videos. We'll send you the learning materials. Now, $60,000 I paid out of my pocket for my MBA. Do you think I got one-to-one time with my faculty, with my instructors? I could raise my hand. But do you think I could sit down with them for an hour and say, listen, I got an issue at my job and I really need your help with this? Do you think they gave me that? No. That wasn't in their job description. This is what we offer you in this program. Every instructor is 2 hours available a day by appointment for you to come in and talk about anything that's relevant for your business and the material we're learning. If you're working on a case and you say, Todd, I got a major presentation to a prospect next week and I really got to be on my toes for this, hey, you make an appointment, you get my time. If you got things about the financials in your business and learning that, you make an appointment with the instructor and you got his time. Now, we've got a special party tonight for anybody who decides to enroll. Okay, it's a VIP party, 8 o'clock. And we're also, if you like this conference, we invite you to attend the next one in the spring. That's included with your tuition. Now, all of you are going to get an email from me with your notes from this class. If you're interested in enrolling, just respond and we'll be happy, to get you started, or just let me know after class. Now, at this time, I'm open for questions.
What kind of modifications do you have to do for this when you can only get like 15 minutes of a person's time versus an hour?
Okay, so the question was, how do I modify this if I have a few seconds or a few minutes as opposed to an hour? Well, let me share with you with unconscious competence from doing this, you do this immediately. I would say what I would do is simply when you introduce yourself, you might want to cut that a little bit short because you don't have much time, but I might just want to say, what's been your biggest challenge regarding this? And at least you know their issue and you start to create a little bit of a need, okay? And with practice, you'll know which of these techniques to use when, but I would say of all the techniques you learn, and if I only have 10 seconds, that's the question I'm asking. Because at least you get your foot in the door, right? Okay, who had a question next? Yes?
Are there any sales books that you recommend highly?
Oh, the question is, are there any sales books that I would recommend highly? I'm going to tell you guys, I've read them all, and I really don't like them. They tell you, you know what? It's like they tell you too much. How can you remember all this stuff? It's too much stuff to remember. Quite frankly, I think the things that you're learning in this class today, it's a takeaway, will blow away any book. But if I had to recommend one, if you put my feet to the fire, I would get the book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Cialdini. And it's really not about selling. It's about the art of persuasion based on studies that he did at his university. It doesn't give you cut and dry techniques the way I do, but it's about the best book that I could recommend. Okay?
Go Giver.
Pardon me? I couldn't recommend it. Most of those books, guys, you can't remember all that stuff. They give you too much. And then you're trying to keep it in formulas. You know how I made you do this over and over today? Because now, at least when you walk out of here, it'll stick, hopefully. Yes?
So do you recommend actually memorizing?
Do I recommend memorizing this? Yes, I do, initially. And then with practice, you'll find your own words. But initially, I do recommend memorizing. Okay, next question? Yes.
Does this do any good if you're not able to make it to the primary decision maker by bonding with the lower down?
The answer, okay, the question is, will this help if I pitch someone who's not in authority to make a decision? The answer is no, 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 no. There are 4 things you need to qualify. Write this down. If they don't meet this 4 criteria, you are not wasting your time in an appointment. They are, number 1, they need to need your product, okay? They need to need it, okay? Number 2, they need to want your product, okay? I may need to go see the dentist, but I don't necessarily want to. They need to want your product. Number 3, this is the big one, they need to have the authority to buy. Before you go in there and pitch, ask, in addition to yourself, who else is involved with the buying decision, and if they're not there, you're not showing up. Guess what the 4th thing is? What do they need? Money! That's the right one. Okay, so the acronyms, the WHAM, need, want, authority, money. If they don't meet those 5 criteria, you are not wasting your time. Okay, now let me take a look at my time here, how we're doing. I only got 3 more minutes, so just a couple more questions, okay? Yes?
Text number to get the book.
Okay, if you didn't get this, you want the notes for this? Let me put this back up on the slide. Okay, the notes for this class. Boy, I covered a lot of stuff. Okay, right there, the key word is Sales 101, your name and your email to 58885. you send me a text, you'll get the notes for this class and a follow-up video. Okay, I got time for a couple more questions. Yes?
Is there a good balance between how much you should be speaking and how much the potential customer should be speaking?
So the question is there a good balance between how much you should be speaking and how much the customer should be speaking? I'm going to answer that very simply. You should be asking questions and the customer should be answering them. If you stick to that formula, you're going to close a lot more business. Now, the other questions you should ask are in my second component, conducting a profile, which we just touched on briefly today. Okay? But you should be asking the questions. When you do that, you close immediately more business. Now, the difference between a pocket MBA grad and a technician are the questions you ask. A technician answers questions about technology, and so how are they viewed? As a technology expert. Okay? A pocket MBA grade asks questions about their business, and how are they viewed? You ever hear that term, trusted business advisor? We all heard it, right? That's really how they view you when you know how to ask questions about the business. Does that answer your question? Okay, next question. I got time for one more. Okay, how many of you are going to stay for my next class on how to get a commitment after you bond? Okay, I hope to see you. We're going to take a 5-minute break, and let's be back here in 5.
James, what's your rank?